Rare historical images you have not seen before.
Foreskin or death. A Pakistani soldier checks to see if a man, i.e. Muslim or Hindu, is circumcised during the Bangladesh War of Independence, 1971. Hitler's bunker, 1945. This is the first photograph taken in Adolf Hitler's underground bunker, immediately after his death. In the Congo, Belgians cut off the hands of children and women as punishment for poorly done rubber harvesting work, late 19th century. A colonial merchant uses a local woman as transportation. Bengal, British India, 1903. U.S. soldiers inspect railroad cars with dead bodies on a railroad track near the Dachau concentration camp in Germany. A Nazi shot his family and killed himself. Vienna, April 1945.
This photograph of a brooding African man doesn't seem terrible, until you see that the objects lying in front of the man on the mat are a human hand and foot. The man is a rubber plantation worker in the Congo, failing to meet his production quota. As punishment, his youngest daughter was killed and eaten by the overseers. Her remains were brought to her father as an admonition to all workers who do not work hard enough on the plantation. U.S. Senator Alban W. Barkley, a member of the Congressional Commission on Nazi Crimes, at the Buchenwald concentration camp, April 25, 1945, by the bodies of fallen prisoners. Robert Wadlow, known by his nicknames the Good Giant, the Giant of Alton, and the Giant of Illinois, was the tallest man in history. Italian serial killer Leonard Cianculi turned the bodies of her victims into cupcakes and offered them to guests. The genocide of the Armenian population in the Ottoman Empire from 1915 to 1923, when between 1 and 1.5 million people were killed as a result. Evidence of the inexplicable cruelty of the Ottoman army is this photo. I think it needs no comment. A woman was hit by a Molotov cocktail thrown during an anti-government demonstration at Dankook University. Seoul, Republic of Korea, 1988. The Guanajuato mummies are considered the most bizarre and frightening. Their crooked faces make you believe that many of them were buried alive. The city itself is located in central Mexico, and there is a museum of mummies. The history of its creation is frightening. Since 1865, places and cemeteries began to be taxed, and if relatives did not pay, the body after 5 years was exhumed. If the relatives managed to pay the huge debt, the body was returned. If not, the bodies were stored in the basement. Later, the entrepreneurs decided to make an attraction out of them and created a museum where the most horrible bodies were selected. Chernobyl, where all the equipment disappeared to all contaminated military equipment from Chernobyl has disappeared. Satellite images of the area of the man-made disaster show empty fields where rusting carcasses would have been standing. The most advanced machines of the time were thrown into the liquidation of the Chernobyl disaster. They went where no man could reach. Vehicles with high radiation levels were taken to special settling tanks. A few years ago, it turned out that the biggest dump of Chernobyl cars was suddenly empty. Buses, trucks, armored vehicles, and helicopters, personal cars of Pripyat residents. Everything was sent to the dump. There are a lot of theories about the missing equipment. In fact, all the metal was transported to the Vector plant, where it was melted down and put back into service.